The recording is going to come on right now. Go for it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marius Tănescu. I'm excited to have everyone on this special meeting. We are going to have a special guest speaker, Mr. Tony Swantek. He's one of my friends, and I have a really high respect of him. He's an entrepreneur. He built a lot of businesses. The last 4 years, he built 3 businesses over $1 billion. The last one, he took it to $10 billion. And right now, he's focusing 100% on a new project in blockchain technology. And he's going to explain us what's all about with the blockchain technology. I didn't know anything about blockchain technology a few months ago, and I'm excited to learn more today. And I hope you are going to enjoy this meeting. Tony, thank you for being here with us. We have to learn from you.
Thanks so much. I'm going to share screen and go through a quick overview, just kind of for those of you that are brand new, seeing this information for the first time. It'll tell you a little about who we are and what we're working on, and how you might be able to benefit financially by helping us and our community grow. I'm just going to make sure I mute everybody real quick, and let's see if I can do that so we don't get any background noise. I think we're good to go. And I'll share screen, and then we'll start this party. So let's go entire screen. Do that. Share. And all right, so I'm assuming you guys can see my screen. I guess somebody can WhatsApp me if not, for whatever reason. So for those of you that are brand new, the projects we work in are in what we call blockchain and Web 3.0. If you're not familiar with that space, I'm sure people have heard the word blockchain or Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, and maybe you've heard companies talk about Web 2.0 and Web 3.0. To break down kind of what that really means, I look at the transition from Web 2 to Web 3 as, in my opinion, a massive paradigm shift in human society. And I think if you go back throughout history, you can look at different shifts that happened, and it changed the entire planet, the trajectory of the human species. And I look at kind of, if you go back to like the 1400s, you had the knowledge gap, which if you weren't royalty or nobility, you probably didn't have a lot of books or any books or access to books. And then the Gutenberg press created, I'd say, the ability and kind of even the playing field for anybody to have access to knowledge. And by closing that knowledge gap, the globe went through a renaissance. It really, you started to see, just technologies and things like that advance. And then obviously, I think you could go into the 1800s, and the combustion engine, I think probably out of Austria was the first invented one, Germany, Austria. You'd close the power gap. And prior to the engine, like if you didn't have horses, oxen, mules, like you weren't going to develop much land without a lot of livestock. And the engine comes along, and all of a sudden, people had more power in their garage than kings and queens from a few years prior. And that really closed what I would call the power gap in society. The internet, I think this is a kind of a great example to be on a meeting like this. It closes what I would call the distance gap. The world is a much, much smaller place now because of the internet. It allows us to share information freely, real time, all over the planet. I know we've got Europe, folks in Europe that are on here. I'm in Puerto Rico, where I live most of the time. I know we've got California, Georgia, New York. I did see, I think, one Australia, New Zealand. So it's like we've covered the whole planet pretty much from one side to the other. And it's thanks to the internet. It closed that distance gap, makes it much easier to communicate and certainly to do business all over planet Earth at the same time. And if you look at blockchain would close what I call the trust gap. And what I mean by that is it allows us, instead of just sending information, it allows us to share value real time throughout the world without a third party. Now, it could be currency, right? Right now, if I know Arjen's in the Netherlands, he's in Holland, and if we were working on a project and I needed to send him $1 million, I can do it right now. I'm on this deal with you guys. As soon as I get off, I would have to go to Banco Popular here in Puerto Rico, and I don't keep more than 250,000 in that account. So then I could go to Bank of America, which there isn't one on this island. So I can't call Bank of America and send a wire. I do have one bank I could call and send a wire, but let's say I didn't, because most people don't. I would have to ACH money from Bank of America, get it to Banco Popular, maybe takes 4 or 5 days. Then I would walk into Banco Popular, send a wire to Europe. Maybe that takes 3 or 4 days, depending on whether I beat the wire cutoff time or not, and how quick his bank approves it through Swift and everything. And that's it. I might be 10 days in before he gets his $1 million. Now, if we used Bitcoin, let's say, as one example, using blockchain technology, if he said, hey, I'll just take Bitcoin, and it gave me the wallet address, I've actually had transactions where I've sent $1 million in Bitcoin over the blockchain. And it's been a couple of years since I did that big of a transaction all at once. And it was somebody was sending Bitcoin in one of my wallets. It was $1.27. That's what the fees were. Total fees, total cost was $1.27. And it was a little under 5 minutes. Because when somebody sends you that much, you kind of keep an eye on it and see how long it takes. And it hit my account, which is way, way superior. That's a much superior way to send value than the banking system through Swift or a piece of paper. And it doesn't just have to be currency. It could be your health records. It could be the clinical trials. I'm old enough to remember when cigarettes weren't bad for people. Like, they had studies that said they weren't bad for people. And what they would do is they'd start a study with 1,000 people. And when 200 of them got asthma, emphysema, lung cancer, they'd just remove them all from the study. And then they'd publish a study with 800 people. And what blockchain would do is basically the moment you start a study, if it's on Web3, every data point would be logged onto a blockchain. It's just a ledger. It's like imagine your bank statement or whatnot. But every data point would be logged from the second the study started. And so if 5 years later they remove 200 people from the study, you and I could go, wait a minute. We know this study had 1,000 people in it. Let's go look at the data. Oh, they removed person number 7, person number 12, person number 14, person number 23, person number 31. Well, let's go look at these guys. Let's look at their data. Oh, this one's got asthma. They were just diagnosed like 3 months ago. This one, emphysema, a year ago they were diagnosed. This one, 2 years ago, lung cancer, and you'd see, it'd be anonymous. It's not like you'd see their names, but blockchain creates trust. And eventually you're going to start seeing a shift from Web 2 to Web 3. I don't have a crystal ball, but I can almost guarantee everyone that's watching this, there will be a shift for most companies, most businesses, if not all companies, all businesses, all governments will start shifting. How quick it happens, I have no idea. I think AI is going to make it happen quicker than we think. But I do truly believe, without a doubt in my mind, that Web 2 is going to transition to Web 3. And if you look at it, similar kind of to the transition from Web 1 to Web 2, which I remember that transition. Web 1 was when you literally, the military was using it. And as it says here, like tech savvy, like IBM was using it. Microsoft was using it back in the early 90s, late 80s. I think it was 81, 82 when you had IP protocol, the TCP, those internet protocols were created. But nobody was using them really outside of high tech and military. And then probably my first movement into Web 2 was email. Hotmail. I set up a Hotmail account while I was in college, sent my mom a message, She sent me back a message, and I thought, man, this is way better. If I need something, this is way better than mailing a letter. Or I always had to wait until, back then with cell phones at that time, I had to wait till after 9 p.m. They had free nights and weekends in cell phone plans. So I have to wait till after 9, or I'd get yelled at if it wasn't important because it costs so much to call on a cell phone. So I remember paying my first credit card bill online. And I thought to myself, I had always mailed a check. And then I paid it online, and I thought, I'm never going to mail another check again to a credit card company. Like, it was a way better way to pay my bills. And I made that transition. And then obviously you had, Facebook hit, and then 07, iPhone, Samsung, all the smartphones hit. And then Web 2 was off and running. But what Web 3 does is it decentralizes the platforms. And what I mean by that is, if you think of Web 2, it is controlled by massive corporations. This is just a few examples. Like Uber is a Web 2 company. They have all your data. They know what your home address is. They know what flight you're flying out on and what you're going to land on, where you're headed. They know what hotel you're staying at. They know what restaurants you like to eat at, and they can monetize data. They have all that data. Zoom just got in trouble. Gosh, it was 3 months ago, maybe. They shared everybody's data. They updated their privacy policy and was like, everybody's data, we're sharing it with our AI. And people flipped out, which rightfully so. And if you didn't like that, your alternative is to leave Zoom and go to Google Meet or Microsoft Teams. Like, Google and Microsoft are better at mining data than probably anybody on the planet, Facebook. I mean, at the end of the day, I think humans as a society, I think we have conceded, I think, for lack of a better word, we've probably conceded to the fact that Mark Zuckerberg has been listening to me this whole time and is listening to you if you're saying anything to your spouse or your kids or whatever. And they advertise to us, and, you're talking about something with a friend, and all of a sudden it pops up on your feed, hey, flights to Puerto Rico, because we're talking about Puerto Rico or whatever. And people, it's kind of, I hear people go, it's creepy, it's weird, but we don't adjust our lives at all. Like, we're still going to use our phone. But what Web 3 does is it says, listen, what if there was an option where a company like Uber, a rideshare company, didn't keep all your data and didn't know where you lived and what restaurants you went to and didn't know what hotel you were staying at? What if there's a company like Zoom that didn't take all your data, didn't know who was on your meetings, didn't look at every one of your recordings, didn't know every email address of people that registered? What if there was an option where Mark Zuckerberg wasn't able to listen to me and make billions of dollars, and we could control that data? That's what Web 3 does. It takes centralized control and it decentralizes it. This platform's a good example that you're on right now. This is decentralized. There's no owner. There's no corporation that runs this company. It's owned by the community. And all the community members, when they're doing meetings, they own their own data. We haven't even turned it on yet, but eventually they will be able to share their data and get paid for it. There'll be aggregators if they want targeted advertising, which I don't mind that, actually. Like, I just bought some wristbands the other day. I play a lot of pickleball here in Puerto Rico, and I needed some new wristbands. And it's like, if a few ads, I was talking to my wife about it, and if a few ads for wristbands came up, I was like, oh, it reminded me I need some wristbands. At the end of the day, I that's better for me than getting high heel advertising or makeup advertising. Like, I don't really need that. So I don't mind it. But if I could get paid to share my data with the advertiser, I would. I think I would every single time. And so that's what that decentralization does. The World Economic Forum has estimated that blockchain could disrupt around $867 trillion in traditional markets. That's a massive number. This is not a once in a lifetime opportunity. If they're right, this is a once opportunity. Like, no one in human history has ever seen a transition of wealth in that, even near that range. Web 1 to Web 2 was not near that large, and it wasn't near as fast as it's happening. Blockchain is the fastest adopted technology in human history. And so it's never been this big before of an opportunity in history. a transition like this. And I doubt our kids, grandkids, even great grandkids would have an opportunity, or maybe even great great grandkids. And until we probably are interplanetary and the economy from Earth is starting to move into Mars, yeah, you could probably get multiple, maybe even a quadrillion or more, a few quadrillion in shift in economics. But this is it. And I believe the big question is, okay, if they're right, people like Elon Musk are right. If some of the key investors in the world, the key tech people in the world are right, and Web3 is coming, how do you and I take advantage of it? Like, if we knew what we know now, and we could go back to the mid 90s, wouldn't we all be investing in? Wouldn't we just take a trip to Silicon Valley and just start looking for startups and go, yeah, Zuckerberg, yeah, I'll give you some money for Facebook. Sergey Brin, I'll give you some money for Google. Elon Musk, you need some money for PayPal? Here you go. Like, knowing what we know now, I'd be buying domain names left and right. I'd buy Nike.com, I'd buy Walmart.com, maybe point Walmart to Target's website and kind of see how much they're willing to pay me to stop. I don't know if I'd be that mean, but certainly knowing what we know now, we could position ourselves to do extremely well. I truly believe that type of shift is happening now, Web 2 to Web 3. So how do we position ourselves to take advantage of it? And our community utilizes something called node software that makes it easy for people that maybe don't have a clue what blockchain is or what cryptocurrency or what Web3 is. And maybe it's the first time you've ever even heard those words is on this webinar. You could actually position yourself to take advantage of that Web3 shift. A node is kind of like a cell phone tower. So if you own farmland, Verizon doesn't buy your entire farm. If it wants to build a tower, it might say, hey, can we lease a little piece of land and we'll build a tower? Or if you're in Europe, it could be Vodafone, Telcel, whatever. It could be anybody if you're in South America. So they build the tower, and then every month they pay you. They send you a check, and it's like, thanks for letting us run our network on your little piece of land there. And next month they send another check. So it's funny, but a friend of mine called me in late 17, early 2018, and was like, tell me about this project called Gala. He's like, it's a gaming project, like games that you play on your phone. He's like, you gotta come in and buy this node software. And I remember saying to them, like, what's a node? He's like, it's software. You put it on your computer, and when you basically are running their software, they'll pay you for borrowing your computer power. And I remember I said, well, how much do they pay you? And he said, well, they give you these Gala tokens. And I said, well, how much is a Gala token worth? And he said, well, right now, nothing. And I just said, well, that's amazing. You're going to borrow my computer, give me magic internet money that's not worth anything. I was like, it sounds amazing for them, but not so great for me. And he goes, well, Tony, it's not worth anything now. But if people start playing these games, it could be worth a lot. And it's a long story, but I didn't end up, I needed to call him back. I had a transaction that went through. It got refunded like 2 years later. And I needed to call him to redo the transaction, and I forgot. And he ended up, just kind of forgetting about it. I forgot about it. I built some other companies and did pretty well. And then in 2021, I saw him posting on Facebook, and he was like, hashtag Gala Games, hashtag crypto, hashtag blockchain. And it hit me that I forgot to call him. And so I did. I called him and I was like, hey, what's up with this Gala project? And he goes, bro, there's millions of people playing these games. And I was just like, really? And he goes, yeah. He goes, I've been selling the tokens. And I was like, how much have you earned? And he was like, it's a little over $40 million worth. And I was like, no way. And we had a buddy, Wright, that had kind of helped start the project, one of the big community members. And I was like, well, how much has Wright earned? And he goes, $4.3 billion. And I just couldn't fathom that. And then I asked him probably what I shouldn't have. I said, if I would have called you back and bought the 10 grand worth of nodes I was going to buy, how many tokens would I have? Because the nodes are, it's like the chicken or the egg. If you buy eggs and you eat them all, you're done. You got to go to the store and buy more eggs. But if you have a chicken farm, you got a bunch of chickens laying eggs. It just every morning you go grab the eggs, and the nodes are just printing tokens. As long as it's on and running the network, it's helping the blockchain. It's like Bitcoin miners. If you got Bitcoin miners that are doing the work, you get Bitcoin. And so I said, how many tokens would I have had if I would have called you back, a couple years ago? And he goes, well, he did the math. He's like, if you sold all the tokens today, you'd have a little over $10 million worth. And I was like, geez, what's crazy, if I would have had those nodes now, which is whatever, four years later, it would still generate about probably 20 to 40,000 a month in tokens. They trade now about 500 million a day in some trading days. Like I saw 700 million the other day. When they were really cranking, my buddy was selling off tokens. It was like 4 billion a day in trading volume, like very liquid, more liquid than Tesla stock at that time. Like it was a very liquid asset. And so, I chalked it up as kind of a right place, right time, but I didn't take action. I didn't do what I needed to do. I was thinking to myself, what was I so busy doing that I didn't call my buddy back, but I just didn't get back to him. And so I looked at, that as just, hey, it's a missed opportunity. It wasn't the first, it won't be the last, and moved on with my life. Well, a little over a year ago, October of 2023, my buddy called and that had created this big project, this huge community in the gaming space. And they said, hey, we have several projects and we want you to see them. And I was really busy at that time. Our company had just hit, like, I think we were probably over 5 billion in tax credit filings at that point, maybe closing in on 10 billion, and just busy with thousands of employees and 40,000 clients. As busy as I was, because I saw what they did in 2021, I was like, where do I need to go? Like, I'll take a look at what you're doing. I'll be there. And it would end up being Vegas. And I went and met with them, and they showed me several projects. I'll highlight a couple of them, but they were like, you can run nodes in these different projects. And it's like, if you're running a Bitcoin miner, it's called a Bitcoin mining node, you earn Bitcoin. If you run an Ethereum node or stake Ethereum, you can earn Ethereum. If you're operating on our Win blockchain, which is one of our projects, you get Win nodes. Rev is our rideshare blockchain. You get Rev tokens. Rally, with this meeting software, you can earn Rally tokens for operating Rally nodes. You can earn it for doing meetings like this. They had several projects. The banking blockchain was one of the first that really caught my eye. Not so much because of the tech side of it. I didn't understand it all back then, but the CEO of that project, I knew who she was. I own a credit card processing company that's pretty good size, and she was one of the original founders of Discover Card. Her name's Kathy Roberts. She was the first president of Discover Bank. And then she was the president of the Delaware Bankers Association in the state of Delaware, which I don't know if you know anything about Delaware, but a lot of banks like Bank of America and stuff, they charter out of Delaware. It's really friendly for banking. And so she's one of the most respected bankers on planet Earth. And she's in the blockchain space. And that just, it didn't add up for me. Because at that time in 2023, banking and blockchain went together like oil and water. Now, like just the other day, I saw Bank of America release something talking about they're looking forward to being able to move crypto and Bitcoin through Bank of America, like walk in. That was not what was happening in 2023. So I was just like, I asked her, I said, what are you doing over here? Like, how did they get you into blockchain with your banking background? And she said, Tony, she goes, once I understood the technology, I realized that blockchain technology could make everybody on planet Earth bankable almost overnight. And I don't think maybe we take it for granted if you are bankable, but at the end of the day, I always thought about, certainly African villages, India, third world countries where people would not be bankable. But, even she explained, like, we were in Las Vegas. She's like, there's people out there on the strip that can't get a bank account right now. And how many opportunities do people miss out on because they can't participate in our financial systems? So at that point, I started digging into blockchain and really learning what this technology could do and what did I think it would do over the next several years. Galvin is our health and wellness blockchain, decentralizing healthcare. You can actually earn money for moving and exercising. You can earn crypto for moving and exercising, I should say. And eventually, I think our health records will be ours. I don't know if you ever tried to request a health record, but it's not easy to do. I was doing some stem cell work, and I had to get my health records. And I was going with Via Christi Sports Medicine Hospital. I'd done some PT on my shoulder and was trying to get that information. And it was like, man, I realized it was kind of like their health records, and I was just begging for access to it and had to jump through all kinds of hoops. I finally got it. But imagine on blockchain if I had access to my health records and I was the one that shared it with them when I showed up at the hospital. And during emergencies, I could have an emergency that would automatically fire it to any hospital based on my location. The Element blockchain, that's decentralized mining, ensuring that any jewelry, any lithium batteries, any rechargeable batteries, were not mined by children or slave labor, people at gunpoint. And so that can ensure that everything's done ethically, and not only the mining part, but when the mines are depleted, that they come in behind the mines and backfill with farmable soil, mangrove trees. They reclaim the land. Give is our charitable blockchain. We've done amazing things on that chain. I know last year, I think we saved a little over 3,200 children from child sex trafficking through the Give blockchain. I know we built 2 orphanages in Tanzania. I think this year we're on pace to have 100 orphanages built throughout Africa. It's pretty amazing. And you can track to the penny where your money goes. I think that's one of the issues that a lot of charities have is a lot of the money doesn't go where it should go or where you thought it would go when you gave. This is fully transparent. You can see literally where your money's going to the penny. You may be, I helped build the well in this village in Africa, and now they have clean water. So it really does open up that full transparency for giving. Grow is our agricultural blockchain. Again, full transparency on what you're putting in your body. Imagine ordering a steak, having a QR code that you snap with your phone, and it says, hey, this is cattle number 1176459 from Royal Ranch Family Farms in Royal Ranch, Washington State. It's certified organic, free range Angus, never been injected with hormones, never been injected with steroids. It grazed on 1,167.5 pounds of grass each year during its free range life. Grazed on 1,803.5 pounds of oats. It was originated on this date, processed on this date, shipped, refrigerated, never frozen, right here from Royal Ranch, and now it's on your plate for you to enjoy. Fruits, vegetables, whether they're fully organic, whether it was sprayed with herbicides, pesticides, were they processed and shipped out of China or Mexico, or were they raised right here in the United States or in Europe where you're at, or Australia where you're at? Again, that is full transparency. And I think as humans, if we're given a choice to know where the food came from that we're getting ready to put in our body, or not know, I think we would choose to know. Revo is our rideshare blockchain. It's our decentralized Uber platform. And so every ride we do, the rider pays less, the driver earns more, and that's real money, like Web2 money. But on top of that, there's cryptocurrency rewards people can earn, the riders, the drivers. And so it's better. It's better. It saves you money. You get rewards. The drivers earn more. It's just better than Uber or Lyft. It just really is. Now, I'm not saying we're going to beat those guys, but on paper, if you could pay less, get rewarded, and know that the driver was earning more for the exact same ride, wouldn't you choose that? You can actually add a favorite driver on Revo. You can't do that on Uber or Lyft. If you have a driver you really like in a city, it'd be cool if you could just add them as a favorite. And then anytime you were in that city, when you click you want to ride, if that driver's available, they're the first one that gets pinged. Then the last is the R-Link project. And I'll kind of wrap up with this, but R-Link is just decentralizing video conferencing platform. It's a massive industry. Zoom has 300 million users plus a day, 20 plus $20 billion market cap. You can join our platform as a connector, the whole ecosystem. It's free whoever invited you on to the webinar or shared a video with you of this webinar, you can just sign up on a link they send you and join for free. Go through our academy. If you want to become a node owner, there's a button and you can buy nodes. And I always tell people, there's no guarantees. Our legal team Blockade kind of says, hey, we don't have a crystal ball. You could buy a node in this project, the Rally project, and maybe nobody ever uses it. Maybe people say, oh, Zoom's way better. We're never going to use this. It never generates revenue. It never creates any buzz around society, and the tokens are never worth anything. Other than, I guess, you could eventually use your tokens to pay for your meeting software. So there's utility there. That's what the tokens are for. But the market might never add value to them. It might never say, hey, I'll give you Bitcoin for those tokens, or I'll give you dollars for those tokens, or euro for those tokens. And so I tell people, do your own research. I always tell people, this is kind of like, I call it Las Vegas money here in the United States, maybe Monte Carlo money in Europe, or Macau money in Asia. This is money that, like, don't take out a second mortgage to buy nodes or do anything like that. This is like, hey, I've got some money that's in a high risk part of my portfolio. That's what I did. I took money that was in oil, like oil exploration, not my old oil wells, the wells that are pumping out oil. I keep those. All my real estate I kept, but my speculative stocks, high yield bonds, speculative oil, where I was doing exploration, I pulled out of all of that. And then I pulled out of treasuries as well. And I ended up purchasing in 2023, it sounds a little nuts, but it was $53 million worth of nodes. Now, I did that for a couple of reasons. One, I was funding 2 projects onto the chain, which is pretty pricey to build a layer 1 blockchain. I'm just a community member. I have no ownership in any of those, but I just thought the idea was really good for a decentralized rideshare like Uber and a decentralized video conferencing platform like a Zoom. And so the other reason is, in the United States, there were some tax advantages for doing that. The node software is classified as off-the-shelf software by the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS service here in the United States. And so you could depreciate it, basically. You could write it off. A portion of it, a pretty big chunk of it, actually, you're allowed to, through something called Section 179 and bonus depreciation. And so there was a lot of advantages for me. But at the end of the day, if things didn't go well, if it didn't work out, I'd still be fine. Like, I already had all my real estate properties paid for, all our, retirement, everything's already squared away. So it's high risk part of my portfolio, and I'm open about that. But the upside, if we can pull this off, is massive. But that's the big question. Can we pull it off? Our legal team is second to none. Our head advisor, Ken Cuccinelli, he was the former attorney general for the state of Virginia. He was the deputy secretary of Homeland Security for the United States of America for 3 years. I work a lot with John Madsen, brilliant attorney in the security space and blockchain space. Daniel Payne, really good attorney in the security space as well. Pretty much worked with all these folks. If somebody said, I do want to buy some of these nodes, they sound good, you click the shop button. There's a bunch of different nodes. You can choose which project you're most interested in. I got to update this slide. The price of the node goes up as people buy them. The more people that buy them, the more the price goes up. So like the R-Link nodes now are like $5,400 or something. But I still think that if things go well, that could be a really good deal. And then you can host your nodes on your own laptops. If you have an Apple or Linux operating system, Windows, we were having trouble keeping them on. We'll figure that out one of these days, so we're working on it. But most people just host in the cloud. We have a lot of third parties. We can teach you and train you how to host in the cloud. Once you become a node owner, you can just run your nodes and watch your rewards grow. And that's what I love about these projects is you can be, hey, I operate nodes, I help run the network, and I can gain tokens for doing that. Or you can help build the community and you can get tokens for doing that as well. And what I love about our platforms, like something like this for me, it was much better to present with something like this platform than Zoom. Because like if I want to send someone to a website in Zoom or Google Meet or Teams, I have to type in the chat, which again, obviously people are chatting this whole time, but you can chat. Or if I just said, well, I want to just send them to the website, I don't have to type anything in the chat. I have call to action buttons. And I say, hey, the button that says R-Link Home, just click on it and it'll take you to our website. If somebody said, well, what about that ride share thing? I really want to learn more about that. I'd be like, okay, it's called Revo. the button at the top of your screen or down the side if you're on your phone, click the button that says Revo, and it will come up and you can learn more about that project. Technically, I didn't load my slides in earlier, but I guess I should one of these days. But I can preload slides in, so I don't have to share screen like I did with the PowerPoint. I can literally just go, oh, let me just go into the slides like right now. Like I can just start going into slides with no screen share, none of that stuff. If I want to show a video, if somebody wants to download the slides, I can let anybody download the slides. If you're watching this recording, you can click that button and download the slides. It's live. Like any of our plans, you can scroll through and you can see the different plans. Like you're in control of your screen right now. Like you can scroll down, go from annual to monthly. You can click the sign up now button. And again, if you're watching this on a recording and you're watching my screen, you can click the sign up now button. Like it'll take you there. These are live. That's a way better process than it is with Zoom to show a video. I remember with Zoom, I would have to share my screen, change my audio setting. I forgot to do that so many times, and people would start texting me, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. Like, I forgot to change audio from microphone to computer. Change that, pull up a YouTube, wait 5 seconds so I could skip the ad, and then boom, we're all watching the video together. Or I could just pull up a video like with this platform.
Do you ever wish you'd played a part in a tech revolution before it got really big? Like,
if I'm done with the video, I can just stop it. I can pause it. I can turn the volume up, turn the volume down. Like it's way, way superior. And so I'm just sitting here going, you know what? Like if society is going to transition from Web 2 to Web 3, which I believe we will. I believe if given a choice, if you could choose to have somebody like Zoom take all your data and share it with whoever they wanted, or you could own all your data, I think we all would choose to control our data. I think if we could choose to get rewards versus not getting rewards, I would choose to get rewards. That's just me. At the end of the day, I truly believe that that transition is going to happen with or without us, with or without this project. Somebody else will come out with a project like it. The good news is we're just first to the market, and I think we're probably the best to the market as well, just with the bells and whistles. And so what I would recommend, connect with whoever invited you to either A, this live presentation, or B, if you're watching the recording, connect with whoever sent you the recording and just say, hey, I want to learn more. Hey, I want to get started. Hey, I want to buy some nodes. Whatever it is, it's free to learn more. Like just say, hey, sign me up for free and let me go into the academy and I can learn about blockchain. I can learn about Bitcoin. I can learn about a node. Like what's a node? I can learn about the Rally platform, the R-Link platform, the meeting platform. I can learn about the Grow platform and the decentralized agricultural platform. Whatever you're excited about, you can play around and learn about. And if you like what you see, what I would tell you, get started. Get an NFT, get a node, help us build the community. That's one of the biggest things we're working on now with this platform is bring us users. We'll pay you. Like you can earn for bringing us users into this platform. We're getting ready to launch our free version. There'll be a free trial, a 14-day free trial coming very soon. As you move up and you're more of a sales leader, we'll have a 30-day free trial that you can give out and let people try it. And then if they become a user, $10 a month, $30 a month, or our highest package, $50 a month, saves me $3,400 a year versus Zoom. I'm just sitting here going, hey, if they use that, the community will pay you. The community will reward you for bringing us customers. So for those of you that are probably like I was when I first saw this, a lot, maybe confused, maybe a ton of information, but I knew enough to know that if I could go back into the mid 90s when Web 1.0 went to Web 2, man, I could do pretty well financially. I think all of us could do pretty well financially if we could go back with our current knowledge into the mid 90s. I truly believe the same thing's getting ready to happen. And for those of you that choose to position yourself in the middle of this massive transition from Web 2 to Web 3, I want to be one of the first to welcome you to our family on the blockchain. Have a great rest of your day or a great rest of your evening if you're in Europe. and definitely look forward to chatting with you on each of our overviews and trainings. God bless everybody. Take care.